welcome to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Mann.
Today we are closing Blairvember, the first annual Blairvember, with 1987's Nightforce.
Force it in!
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Spooky ain't got no field coach.
Hello, pizza man.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl a little hot and horny.
You could have been decent once in a while. And maybe Daddy would have had to kill himself because he couldn't get us up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creepy.
Before we get into the movie today, Chris, little bit of grind business.
Ah, yes.
Okay. I got quite a bit of comments, not so nice comments about our last episode, Hell Night. Apparently we missed a lot of information in that movie.
A boo-hoo!
But we'll get to it very soon. But before we get to that, I have gotten a tweet a while ago from this nice gentleman here, Mr. Graham Bolin, at Graham Bolin on Twitter. This is all the way back in November 9th, Chris.
Oh.
And he says, it looks like Angel Tompkins did a little work on Hickman Advezis Wiki. Now, if any of our listeners remember this episode, it is The Teacher. I don't remember what episode it is, maybe 13 or so. So I checked this out, and I told him I'd mention it on the show. I just totally forgot about it, but here you go. This is from the director of The Teacher's Wikipedia, okay?
Okay.
I'm just going to skip down a little bit. Crown International released the film, and The Teacher has remained a popular cult film studied by film students all over the world to this day. I know this because I am Angel Tompkins. And
No.
I get emails. I get the emails, the phone calls, and the mail on Facebook from the generation when The Teacher was released. The stories of young men keeping photos of me in their lockers and taking them to college to keep in their dorms. And to this day, at collector shows, the one-sheets. Posters and copied photos made from theater press materials come from all over the world to me asking to autograph them, and they're telling me how watching The Teacher, quote, got them through school and college. So in those 12 days of shooting, limited budget, Marlene Schmidt and Howard Avedis did their best and made Crown tons of money. God bless with love, Angel Tompkins in 2007.
God bless her.
So there you go.
Her.
Angel Tompkins, still around, editing Wikipedia entries and talking about how men still come up to her to this day, telling her about how they loved her in The Teacher.
Quite the education she gave us.
So now we'll get into our last film in Blairvember here, Hell Night. Our good friend and hopefully still friend and listener, Beardy Freak at Grindhouse Dave at Twitter. Boy, he likes this movie, and he was pretty pissed at us for missing quite a bit of information.
You know, maybe if it presented itself in a more oblivious... Yeah, well, never mind.
So I'll just read a few. He says, the head in the bed isn't the flapper girl. It is the cave girl. And the flapper girl is Denise, and that's why they keep running around saying, like, let's find Denise, let's find Denise. My response to that would be, well, that's fucking confusing as all hell.
Why would they switch out the heads?
Why would they? Yeah, so I'm going to stand by my original thoughts
I'm
on that
standing
one.
by that, too, firmly. It's like the Mongoloids have that much intelligence to pull a little ruse like that. A little 3-card Monty with some heads.
So that's why he says, the quote, that sorority girl was beheaded because it was the cave girl. And being a new pledge, Seth did not know her name. Denise is the flapper girl. So that's why they keep walking around going, where's Denise, where's Denise? Because apparently that wasn't her bed.
You know, not our mistake. Sorry.
He also says the twist was supposed to be that there was 2 killers. Although it wasn't really like that well handled, I'd say. But
no.
He says you assume only one, the missing son, but supposedly the hung father was still alive too. That was the other guy.
That's the twist, huh?
Yeah. And then he says at the end, Linda padlocks half of the gate she exits from, joining the 2 halves of the gate together. That's why when it's busted, half of it pivots forward. I didn't notice that subtlety, but thank you, Dave.
Thanks, David.
So we got a special treat before we get into the episode today, Chris. You've managed to round up quite the special guest on this episode, haven't you?
Yes. It took some doing. It took a lot of hard doing, a lot of door knocking, a lot of hitting the pavement. incessant phone calls, restraining orders, but we have... Should I say who it is?
Of course.
Okay. We have an exclusive interview with Linda. We headline and close out Blairvember. We have Linda herself is joining us for an interview via phone. Mike, are you ready for this?
Oh, God. I'm so excited.
I've been losing sleep over this, and I just want to say, Linda, welcome to the Grindbin. Thank you for your time. It is an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you.
We have a few questions for you on behalf of our wonderful listenership.
Are we going to do it right here?
Sure. Why not? We have to ask, though, have you ever heard of this podcast before?
Oh, sure. My parents watch it every night on TV.
Oh, that's... Well, it's not on TV, Linda, but thank you very much. That's very nice.
Whatever works. Well, we do have to say it was really hard getting a hold of you. We used to joke at the beginning of Blairvember how we would sit inside of our van outside of your house and...
Lots of cold nights.
Yeah. You seem to
You live up in the mountains, so it's a drive.
You seem to be ignoring all of our efforts to contact you, but now we've got you. So we're glad you've lightened up to us.
That's being a real bitch.
Well,
your words, not ours,
Thank
Linda.
you, thank
Your
you.
words, not ours.
well,
Excuse me if we don't have time.
we do have time, and we wanted to ask. The majority of your roles have been centered around horror. Now, do you have other films that are, you do have other action films and comedies? Has there ever been a role or talent that you felt you've always wanted your audience to see you in?
So what? I'm a musical genius.
We'd love to hear that. Well, we did in Nightforce, actually. We did hear your musical genius.
We did.
You say you sing a lot like you act. I really enjoyed that.
We didn't. Well, we knew that, but that is a pleasant surprise. Are there things though that you simply won't do on camera?
I do not want to play the flute.
Oh, well.
You kind of already did.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but Linda, that Roller Boogie movie, you did play the flute. So
I think you have some kind of amnesia. Maybe took a hit during 7th Streets, but fair enough. But you did start quite young. What was the first thing that the talent scout said when he discovered you?
I was watching you. You're very good.
Oh, that's nice.
nice of him to
Yeah.
say. Now, were your parents always supportive of your acting growing up?
My parents don't have to tell me where they're going. Why should I tell them where I'm going, right?
Okay. Well, that's
So sounds like there's some resentment that comes with being a child star, especially at that age.
I never had a chance to be young.
well, yeah.
That's part of that business. Though.
The business. Well, Chris is right.
Because I think though it's appalling that you aren't in more movies as much anymore. I just wish directors would hire you, as we think you'd be just amazing in everything.
Look, I don't give a damn if they don't have time for me anymore. I mean, I'm a big girl, right?
It's
Yes, you are. You are. I don't know what you mean by that. So.
To be honest, I think that was kind of out of line.
Yeah,
I think
this interview is going a little off the rails,
yeah.
Linda. We're sorry.
I don't believe you just said that.
Well, we did.
I'm sorry, Linda. We really are big fans of yours. We don't want to impose here.
I think I'm just saying, with that, you should be more aware of people around you that actually are trying to help your career, like us.
She didn't understand a thing I said.
I think we did. There's just appears to be a bit more beneath the surface than we thought we'd uncover in this interview.
Yeah.
Your mother brings you a new father when she comes home. That's something at least.
I'm not really sure how to respond to these anymore.
We're
Linda.
just stating facts here, okay?
What, you're going to take his word over mine? The desert.
Linda, calm down.
Sounds like we've struck a chord here, and I think you're being a little bit unreasonable.
Welcome home, assholes.
Whoa, Linda.
Maybe we picked a bad time.
We can reschedule.
Is there a better time?
Now it's your turn with the pussy.
Okay, Linda.
This interview is about one phrase away from being terminated. We're about to hit end call.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe we'll call you another time.
Are you on anything that we should know about?
I've got some more in the car.
Maybe you should keep it there. And I think we're going to close out this interview a little earlier than expected. Is there anything you want to say to our audience?
You're gonna die, Vince.
Okay. I think that's all the time we have with Linda, everyone. Maybe she'll get with her some other time. Maybe a better moment, maybe not. But it's clear where she sounds right now.
What a drag! What a bummer!
You know what? I'm sorry.
Fuck you.
Whoa, Linda!
Oh,
She hung
that's
up.
the down
God
tone.
damn it.
That's the down
oh,
tone.
fuck.
God damn.
Well, we had her.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
You know what? You guys asked, we gave. We delivered.
I feel like when she thinks about this interview, Chris, she's going to come back and she's going to say she was being a real bitch.
I think so.
And hopefully she'll give us another chance, right?
Yeah. One more, if not several. Yeah, that was a dream come true.
But Linda, we're so glad to have you on Blairvember.
Yeah, we're glad you were here.
All right, so Nightforce, 1987. Now,
Yeah.
Chris, there is a reason I've picked this movie, this very obscure Linda Blair movie, to close out Blairvember. And we will get to that very shortly.
It's quite the blaze of glory, I might add.
Yeah, this is a good one. You know, if we were to go back and never do Savage Streets again, obviously that would be one of the Blairvember picks. But you can go ahead and listen to episode 5, Savage Streets, for our original introduction to Linda Blair's wonderful movie career. Post-Exorcist. The tagline for this movie, Chris, some people give a damn.
That's just a bumper sticker.
Nobody ever says that in the movie, so
No.
that must have just been something they created afterwards. Somebody was like, why would these kids just go do that? And the guy got fed up explaining it. He's just like, you know what? Some people just give a damn.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to put that on the poster, too. I kind of like that. So this movie, by the way, opens with a very interesting theme song. What'd you think of that song?
It was all right.
Well, Chris, the reason I picked this is because Linda Blair sings that theme song.
No. Shut up. Shut up.
Yep, that's Linda's voice.
And we're playing it right now.
Yes, we are.
Remember when the cars were made of metal? Remember when the streets were paved with gold? When you wished upon a star, made no difference who you are. I can remember. I still remember.
We'll also close out this episode. We'll play the whole song for you.
Yeah.
From the Nightforce soundtrack, where Linda Blair lended her vocals to an original song written specifically for this movie.
Do we know if this was the first and last time she ever sang, or is there a sequel
Oh,
to this voice?
well, judging by the quality of the song, I don't think that career lasted long. But
boy.
that's just my opinion, I guess.
Yeah.
As we found out lately, our opinions are not shared by all who listen to this show. This movie, direct-to-video, barely any information can be found online about it. No DVD release. The only place you can see this is either on YouTube or if you track down a VHS tape.
Right. Wow.
So the crew, we'll start with the director. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we get into it, Chris, let's take a listen to the trailer.
Right.
Which, by the way, now here's what's interesting. Tell me the username of the person who's uploaded this trailer.
Ooh, Lawrence David Folds.
Well, that's interesting because that also happens to be the director of this
Oh,
movie.
no kidding.
So I'm wondering if this is his official YouTube account.
I'm willing to bet yes.
However, we've heard of Lawrence before, and I'll get to that in a second.
Yes.
So here's the trailer.
Linda Blair gives it down. Nightforce. When her good friend disappears. And the government's hands are tied.
For Christ's sake, you're a senator. You can arrange to have their demands met.
We don't negotiate with terrorists.
Some people sit and wait.
There's nothing we can do.
You just gotta sit there and let them kill your fiance.
Some people can't.
It's about as funny as 5 college students going down to Central America and getting their butts shot off.
There's only 4 of us.
There's 5.
The man you're looking for, his name is Esteban. And you have an appointment with death.
Linda Blair, Richard Lynch and Chad McQueen star in Nightforce. The government won't deal with terrorists. She will.
Amazing trailer.
That
for
freeze
this
frame
movie.
that it ends on, I want a poster of that above my bed.
I'm so glad we ended with a movie where Linda's a badass.
Yeah.
Because the last couple, she's just been whining and crying and not her Savage Streets alter ego.
An insulting damsel in distress role where things just happen around her. She gets these starring roles, but she has like 5 lines total, I think.
Yes, and I would say that this movie is a real. I don't really know what to make of it.
No,
this is one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like it is so. The choices that they make in this movie is just bizarre, beyond belief bizarre. And why it even got made and why Linda was even a part of it, I don't know.
Yeah, because she is giving, top billing in this. But again, it's another film where she has just as many, if not less, vocals than anyone else in this film. She just seems to tag along.
Yeah.
I'd say Crocodile Dundee gets more billing in this film than she
Oh,
does.
I can't wait to get into that guy. So, it's what do you call him? I have a different name for him, but okay. So Lawrence David Folds, the director of this movie, who has also apparently uploaded that trailer to YouTube. Grindbin All-Star.
Oh boy.
Lawrence David Folds was the producer on Malibu High, our second or third episode.
Yeah, 3rd episode if you're counting the introduction we did.
So episode 2, though.
Yeah.
Then it was cheerleaders. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Grindbin All-Star. You know what that means a lot of time. The quality of the movie has a 90% chance to be shit.
Yeah.
He directed and produced some Grindhouse and direct-to-video movies in the 80s and 90s. You can hear about him on our Malibu High episode, I think. But I did try and contact him back then for an interview, and he never got back to me. Hey, Lawrence, come on. Let's talk about Nightforce, huh?
Come on, throw us a bone, buddy.
You directed this one. This would be a great one. And we could work in some Malibu High questions. That would be real fun.
I know a guy he probably knows. We'll get into that very soon.
Yeah, Chris, so I'm done with the... Oh, no, I'm not done with the crew yet, but why don't you share... somebody that worked on this movie.
Yes, I worked as a PA on a special for 4th of July for the Macy's Day Parade, and he is the cinematographer of this film. And when I saw that on the screen, I'm like, no! So when I looked up his IMDb, and there it was. And he also worked on the Halloween movies.
Oh, that's amazing, Chris.
Babylon 5. Yeah, I was with the heavy hitters that day, and this guy was one of them.
Oh, if there's only a chance we could talk to him about Nightforce. I have so many questions about the production of this movie.
Oh, so do I. Horses that make trucks explode. I have the list. I have a litany of things I want to cover.
So 3 writers, because
Right.
of course, I write. It's always seems to be the same story for these movies. The shittier the movie, the more the writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Russell W. Colgan, only credit. Michael Engel, this movie and something called Goodnight Maryland, which has, quote, been announced. And the last one is Don O'Melveny. He wrote this movie, as well as some movie with Tracy Lords in it in 1998 called Extramarital. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. It's like some romantic thriller or something.
So it's not like some Red Shoe Diaries.
No.
Late at night, hide the lotion, hands above the covers.
No. And he's also writing on that Goodnight Maryland movie that Michael Engel is writing on. So apparently they teamed up after all these years. All the way from Nightforce to today.
Team up of a century.
They got the band back together. Goodnight Maryland. So let's get into the cast here. Linda Blair, no introduction needed. But
Oh, God.
Grindbin All-Star.
2 for 2.
James Van Patten.
Yep.
Oh, boy. Long road with James Van Patten. Lunchwagon, Roller Boogie. 2 appearances in Blairvember.
Yeah.
So, this, by the way, is the best movie that James Van Patten has ever acted in that we've seen.
Yeah.
I don't know about all his other movies he's been in.
Yeah.
But good for him. He gave it his all in this movie. He shook that gun around with the trigger down, running around in those white Nikes, taking care of terrorists.
Because there was a Van Patten in Hell Night.
Yes, that was his brother.
Yep.
And his father was in Lunchwagon as well. It just comes from a family of actors.
Yes.
So you mentioned Crocodile Dundee there.
Yeah.
Richard Lynch, who plays Bishop, or as I call him, Indiana Jones, because he dresses
same
up
name.
with that.
Yeah.
Seriously, he gives it his all.
Yeah.
Like, this is his movie. Like, he got on set and just stole the fuck out of this thing.
He is the Brando.
He
of Nightforce.
is amazing, this guy. He was in 161 movies. Before starting his career as an actor, he was in the Marines in 1958. He served for 4 years where he made corporal. He did a tour of the Middle East with the 6th Fleet and then came back and started acting. His first big role was in 1973's Scarecrow, starring Al Pacino, which won the Grand Prix at Cannes. He got a lot of work after that. However, the quality was not to be matched in Scarecrow. Him and Pacino had diverging paths because Richard Lynch went on to star in so many B movies and amazing action movies. 1975 started out there in the Happy Hooker, which is a series of movies. 1978, Death Sport. 1982, The Sword and the Sorcerer. 1985, Invasion USA with Chuck Norris, a canon film, which we might do at some point. Just cut. The most amazing part about Invasion USA is they just decided to cut out all the story because they're like, oh, this movie's too long. Cut it down under 2 hours. And they're like, well, it's not going to make any sense now. They're like, just put the action in.
Yeah.
So they literally cut a 2.5 hour movie down to an hour and 40 minutes and cut out all the story. So it's just action scene after action scene after action scene.
And it's Chuck Norris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the problem there?
But no, it'll go from like Chuck Norris like shoots guys, and then the next scene is he's already in a car saving a bus full of children. And you're like, wait, whoa, how did we get here?
So it's like vignette after vignette after vignette of
it's
Norris.
like a Jackass of action scene. 1985 Savage Dawn, and I'd write just tons and tons and tons of B movies and direct-to-video movies. 2007, his like most recent role of I guess worth to talk about was he was in the remake of Halloween. He played Principal Chambers. I have some very interesting information about him though. In 1967, after taking LSD, he set himself on fire in Central Park behind the Metropolitan Museum of Art. After he recuperated, he candidly spoke about it in an anti-drug documentary. He made use of his scarred face from this incident to play sinister-looking characters in horror films.
Wow.
So he was taking drugs and lit himself on fire and suffered burns as a result. He was found dead in his home in Palm Springs on June 19th, 2012 by actress Carol Vogel. She had not heard from him for several days, went on and checked on him, and unfortunately he was found on his kitchen floor. So he has passed away, but he left us with an incredible body of work, and I will definitely be checking out some of his other movies, because if this is any indication, this piece of shit movie where he just fucking takes this thing by the balls and makes it watchable, I gotta see it. I mean, he was great.
Ran out of gum, started chewing the scenery.
Okay, so I loved him so much, I wrote down just a few quotes, personal quotes of his. This is interesting. As far as his career goes, Chris, he says, I always felt like a thoroughbred without the proper track to run on. In 2009, commenting on being typecast as a villain, this is where I fell in love with this man in terms of what he says. Typecasting set in for me the day I beat the shit out of Al Pacino in Scarecrow. Yeah. Typecasting set in with the 7-Ups, 1973. I could have stopped, but I didn't have much of a choice in that. The parts were presented to me, and I wanted to work as an actor. Most of those parts were the antagonist, so in the end, I established myself as a Hollywood heavy. However, I know other actors who chose not to do something like that and then had very marginal careers. I've had a career. I've survived attrition, and I've been able to work for the better part of 35 plus years. So yes, he mostly plays the bad guy.
Yeah.
But boy, does he do a great job of it. One more story about Richard Lynch. This is on his IMDb message boards. The title is Werewolf, which is a movie he was in, from a man named R. Oliver 5. I had the pleasure of working with Richard in Werewolf. I'll never forget him. While riding in his car to the set from the hotel, he played me Celine Dion's I'm Your Lady. I was hooked. He was a great man to work with, and he kept my Ray-Ban glasses. By the way, I was Bill. Signed, Randall Oliver, who was in the movie.
Yeah.
So, just a little story behind the scenes of Richard Lynch stealing sunglasses and loving Celine Dion. Very
All right.
interesting character.
Yeah.
So the only other actor I wrote down was Chad McQueen, who plays Henry, or as I just write down, military guy in this movie. 27 credits, but mostly known for being in The Karate Kid.
Yeah.
He played the character of Dutch. And they also credit him with being in Karate Kid 2. However, there are a lot of people that write on his message board, they go, he wasn't even in that movie. Why is his name in the credits, and why is he credited on IMDb? And people have, like, painstakingly tried to find if he was, like, just his shoulder was in a scene and all this stuff. They have way too much time on their hands.
Yeah.
Says the guys who are recording a podcast about this movie. But nothing else you've really heard of. He did a lot of direct-to-video action movies he stars in. But we'll end this wrap-up of all our grind business with a review, Chris, from IMDb, from our good friend, Sick Critic, who wrote a review for Night Patrol.
Oh, boy.
The title,
Oh, no.
Not Enough Action, but Great TNA, written on the 4th of November, 2001. And by the way, sickcritic@hotmail.com. He left his email address again, so please email Sick Critic and ask him to come on this show, because we'd really like to have a word with them. Not So Bad action film is starring Linda Blair, but the scenes I wanted to see so much never happened, and you know what I mean. Here is the story thanks to Malton. Fellow youngsters organizing a commando mission to Central America to free a kidnapped daughter of a U.S. senator. These are all one sentence. Also, what is Here's the Stories thanks to Malton? Was he just copying this down from a Leonard Maltin book or
It has
something?
to be. Has to be.
And he ends up with saying, have some great moments, but don't buy this one. Reddit. So thank you, Sick Critic. I'm pretty sure he's the one who described Linda and the way Chris and I think about her every day now.
Makes me feel
She gets us jacked
jacked
like
as
hell. That's from the Night Patrol episode.
Yeah. That's going to be Oh, yeah.
All right, Chris, so let's get into the movie. We start with this theme song we hear. Linda's voice serenading us. And then, so we see like some terrorists at like I guess some sort of college football stadium or something.
Yeah.
Like, you just see these guys like with guns running around, and then somebody says, it's a hit. And I'm just like, for what? Wait, what?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Thank you.
This movie immediately starts into action. Like, the first 5 frames is somebody getting shot, and these guys just running around bleachers, shooting people. And then in my notes I wrote, the producer must have just been like, no. You gotta start this movie with a bang, a literal bang. Like, just cut out all that bullshit about terrorism, all that talking. Just get right to the goods. A man with a gun, another man with a gun, shoot him up, we'll fill him in later. Nobody's paying attention in the first 5 minutes. They're putting their popcorn in the fucking microwave. They're telling the wife to shut up. They're putting the kid to bed.
They're putting their dick in the popcorn box.
They're turning down the lights. They want to see blood. They want to see action. And then the only thing I can gain is that there's just some sign that says this is a campus rally. And I'm wondering to myself, first of all, why would terrorists have any interest in attacking a campus rally?
Thank you.
Also, why attack at night?
When there's no one there.
What the fuck is going on?
You think this is like second unit stock footage they had at Vestron? Just lying around. They're just like, well, we're going to throw it out. You guys better do something with it.
Yeah, that's what it was. The producer's like, look, we had this other movie.
Yeah.
Look, it didn't work out, okay?
Yeah.
Can we just cut in some of this action?
We can't let it go to waste. Heads are going to roll.
We made a lot of money for this. Just put it in your movie. Oh, well, how's it going to make sense? I don't know. Just talk about terrorists or something. You know, figure it out.
Yeah.
So then we do find out what it is, because some newscaster's voice comes on. They couldn't afford to actually have a fake news broadcast. It's just his voice. And he says, these terrorists were trying to plant a bomb for this senator because he was going to give a speech about terrorism. And I just write, okay.
Yep.
He also says something about, and the senator said in a direct quote, these men are maniacs. And I was like, no senator would ever say that. You see a quote from Obama, these men are maniacs. That would never happen. That would never happen.
These men are maniacs. Running around. Causing trouble.
So then we go to a dance club, people getting down, and Linda makes her first appearance, and she's dressed for some reason like a magician. She looks like fucking David Copperfield.
She does.
She's even got the same hair. Like at one point she was gonna make somebody disappear.
Yeah, any credibility this movie had.
Like she's got this suit on with this big like puffy shirt, coming out the front of it and everything, like an ascot or whatever it is. I don't know. It's very odd. And then so the military guy like gets in a fight and they like go off to some table to cool off. And one guy says, so this other guy says something about, I think it's our boy VP, Vincent Van Patten.
Yeah.
He says something about how the military guy Henry and these terrorists have a good way of ruining things. And this somehow segues into how their friend Christie's dad is the senator they were trying to kill. And she's just like, I don't want to talk about it, guys. I don't want to talk about it. And then like Linda does some toast. She's like, well, let's change the subject to Christie getting married. This is going to be great. And then some guy's like, he looks at Vincent Van Patten and he's like, hey, how's your brother feel about you hanging out with his wife more than he does, huh? And like Linda apparently knows something.
Yeah.
And is like deflects this and tells the guy like, hey, let's go dance or something. This just ends. And we go to, I know you love this next scene, Chris. This is where the rails start to come off and you're like, what am I watching?
Yeah, thank you.
So Chris, we go to a horse stable. And what happens?
This woman is on a horse at the stable, and a car pulls up, and the window rolls down, and we hear this ominous "get in," and we see this crossbow poke out. Okay.
Yeah, like a giant crossbow, like from Savage Streets.
Yeah, here's my theory: is that this is an homage to her character in Savage Streets. This has to be. Has to be.
So weird.
Yeah, because never again is this crossbow seen later in the movie when it could have been used for like some stealth scenes.
I didn't even know what this was about.
Yeah.
Like Linda, it doesn't even fit her character.
No, why does she have a crossbow? Why does this car have a crossbow?
She pulls up and she's like, freeze, bitch, or
Yeah.
something. And she's like, very funny. Mm-hmm. And then they call each other, like, she calls her like Pocahontas or Tonto or something. I don't know what the fuck's going on. So she throws that crossbow in the back seat. We'll never see it again. That's a wrap on the crossbow. Like you said, maybe would have been interesting to bring that later on.
If she, like, said a one-liner from Savage Streets, would have been great. I would have been like, ha-ha, you're going to die, Vince. Something like that.
Chris, if you pulled up to my house with a loaded crossbow and pointed out the window, I know you very well, and I'd still be a little off-put by that. Like, So we go to this workout. Like, okay, so basically Linda and Christy are, like, working out, and they get a massage and all this, and they're, like, talking about her wedding, and she's like, I want to call it off, and Linda basically tells her, like, well, you're not getting married yet. It's just an engagement party. Besides, the guy's rich, you know? He's rich. And Linda's all like, I'd marry him if I could. And she's like, well, why don't you? And she's like, well, he didn't ask me. but it leaves the door open. It's like, well, but if he did.
Because she's having hard times.
Okay, so we go to this. Yeah, what does Linda even do?
Nothing's explained. She has free time, obviously, to do what she does in this film.
I know all these people are supposed to be in college, but they all look like they're in their mid-30s.
Are they? Yeah. Is this continuation school?
It's grad school, I guess.
Grad school, yeah.
So we go to this engagement party. It's this big, lavish party, right? And Christy's mom comes up to Linda at the party, and she's like, have you seen Christy?
Oh, boy.
And Linda says, oh, yeah, she was in the pantry. And her mom goes, I was just there. Cut to.
And it is a hard cut.
Yeah.
The cuts in this movie are ridiculous because it's blink of an eye. Now we are in another stable, a barn, if you will. And I would like to allude to late at night when you would flip through television and you come across a Spanish channel. And this is their Skinemax scene is, for some reason, a barn was always involved. And she'd be going, Mas, Mas, Mas. And the guy's like, oh. This is on par with that because now they are banging on bales of hay.
Yeah,
and
so VP, Vincent Van Patten, and Christy are doing it right in the front of the barn.
Yeah.
Right on some bales of hay.
Right, because anyone can open that door and, surprise, why not?
Anyone, Chris? Will someone?
Oh, I think somebody will.
So they're fucking in this barn, and they're getting all dirty, by the way, and that will come into play.
Yeah.
And then who comes in? Who opens that door? Like, okay, but on the other thing, too, is... So they don't, like, go in the back of the barn, right?
No.
They're, like, fucking next to the door.
Waste no time. Waste not, want not.
Like, they couldn't even go up and get a room. Like, it's her house. It's Christy's house.
Thank you. There's locks on those doors.
Go up to her fucking bedroom and lock the door.
Yeah, the party's outside. No one's going to go, oh, is Christy in her room? No. The doors are locked. Lock the fucking door.
Wouldn't it be great if some guy worked in the stable and he comes in and he's like, oh, the stable boy.
Do you need me to milk you?
So Linda opens that door.
Yeah.
Within 2 feet of the couple getting busy on the hay bale.
And might I add, the lighting behind her is just like 5K lights behind her.
Just huge amounts of soft lighting coming in this door. And she's like, I don't believe this. Are you both crazy? Everyone is looking for you. And I wrote, they are crazy because they were fucking within 5 feet of that door. Mm. They couldn't even go in the back of the barn or anything. Like, just maybe one of the stalls or something.
Yeah. No, nothing. Even like don't barns have like upper levels? Like
they might as well just had sex under a table. Like that, they would be that hidden. You know what I mean? Like it's...
Or bury themselves under the hay.
So we go back to the party, and then like VP, that's what I call Vincent Van Patten here in my notes. VP's like talking to his brother, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta tell you something," and it just goes nowhere. He doesn't say anything, but he does mention about how VP has all this hay on his jacket. And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Rolling around in the barn?"
What were you, fucking a horse?
So, we go to the spa/gym or whatever the fuck this is, and Linda's like getting more info out of Christy, and apparently she didn't know about this affair. But so Christy says she's still gonna marry this guy, and then we cut to some weird shower scene. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the first like 15 minutes of this movie is like a Skinamax movie, and then it immediately changes and never will do any of this again.
Yeah, because I was like, so is this direct-to-video? What kind of video store is selling this?
I could just see the producer being like, no, the guy's going to be ready to go in the beginning. Let him finish early, and then he'll enjoy the picture. Just get it out right now. Get it out.
Yeah. He'll fall asleep during the rest of it. They always do.
He'll wake up right about the time of that rape later in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So Christy, okay, so they're in a gym, like a private club, right?
Yeah.
Where we can see women walking behind her and Linda, but then Christy okay, so a scene with her and Linda ends, and then we just get a shot of Christy in this shower.
Yeah.
Still in the gym, and she just starts like rubbing all over herself with soap and everything, and basically like masturbating in this shower.
She's just rubbing the goods.
And she's thinking back to that barn fuck.
Yeah.
And we just see like
the barn bashing.
This cut between the barn bang. Yeah, the
barn bang.
Barn bang and her in the shower. And she's just rubbing herself and having a good time. And I'm like, hello, you're in public. I mean,
anywhere you walk in.
Yeah. I'm like, is Linda next door? How great would it have been if because it's in full screen. Maybe in the widescreen version, Linda's standing next to her. What if the camera just panned over and Linda's just looking at her going like, what the...
You're starting to prune over there.
But yeah, anybody can walk into this shower, which I'm assuming people do. I mean, I've been in a gym shower before. You're never alone for long. There's always some old man that's going to walk through.
Some people are just more liberated than others.
Well, I've never seen that, but thank God.
Well, we haven't been in a women's shower before.
Oh, so we go outside this club, and VP rolls up in his convertible, and he's like, hey. And then all of a sudden some van rolls up, looking like the van out of Switchblade Sisters, by the way.
Yeah.
Just rolls up and just grabs Christy and throws her in this van, and there's these terrorists that have kidnapped her now. And then we get basically this chase scene where the terrorists have her, and VP is chasing after him in his shitty... he's chasing after him in his convertible. It's a really, really bad car chase. I mean, they're
terrible. So
they're like swerving in and out of traffic, but they're maybe going, I don't know, what did you say, 30 miles an hour?
I'm going to say less.
Like tops?
Yeah.
Like they're in a neighborhood street, and they're like slowly going in and out. And we keep hearing gunshots, but we don't see any sort of evidence of gunshots.
None at all.
Like no muzzle flashes, no bullet holes.
No, the only thing they get right is like the hand jerk, but not even that is very good.
I just feel like afterwards some guy was like, 80 and some shots, put some gunshots, spice this scene up, And so then the police show up and they go after the man, and then it all ends and they get away. And the last thing we see is the terrorist in the van with Christy, and he says, you know something, baby? I'll make a whore out of you. and then he tries to rape her in the back of that van.
Right.
Go to the senator's house. Now he's pissed. His daughter is kidnapped. And he says this line, which I thought was really funny, is he goes, I just don't accept it. And I'm like, well,
It kind of happened.
I think you're past that point. Like,
Is there a denial? Is he denying that she was kidnapped?
it's like, this isn't like the, whatever it is, 12 stages of grief or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, first then there's bargaining, then there's acceptance. It doesn't work like that.
I mean, I don't accept it.
She's here or she's not here. It's one of the two, buddy.
Yeah, your daughter's been kidnapped. Nope. 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 No. And they're like, we've been trying to convince him for hours. She's gone. She's not. We need to do something. He won't believe us. He keeps thinking she's just going to come back home.
There's a ransom letter and everything. There's a footage of her with a gun to her head.
The president calls and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about your daughter." And he's just like, "Nope. She'll get tired of her little game. She'll come back.
She always does."
There's some catch. There's always some catch with her.
She wants a curfew extended.
So this guy comes in and he says. He's got more info. He's like, all right, well, the terrorists have kidnapped your daughter, sir. You're going to have to accept that part of the story. And I wrote, this seems really dumb because, so these terrorists tried to plant a bomb at this speech he was going to give.
Yeah.
I was like, no heightened security around the family for the next 48 hours? Like, didn't ring a bell at anybody? Like, he's just like, no, just go about your business. I don't even worry. They're just terrorists.
They're just nihilists.
They do this all the time. Mm-hmm. You know how many times they've planted bombs? You know how many aides I've lost to gunfights before I give a speech? Basically, this guy who we'll never see again comes in and he's like, so they want $2 million. And then he just keeps talking about how he needs a cup of coffee and it's going to be a real late night. And so, like, Christie's fiance, who's VP's brother, who you'll barely see, he's only in, like, 2 more scenes. Mm-hmm. He, like, goes up to the coffee guy, and he's like, so, I mean, really, though, will she ever be back? Because he's like, well, if she's not coming back, I gotta find another rich girl to marry. I mean, and he basically tells him, he's like, I don't know, watch the news, kid. I can't marry that. Also, can you get me a cup of coffee? It's going to be a late night. He keeps saying this over and over. We'll never see him again. Wrap on coffee guy. Go to the brother's office. So the brother's now on the phone doing lawyer shit.
Yeah.
And he's like got a guy in his office and they bullshit for a minute. And then VP just storms in and he's like, what the hell's going on? It's been 3 days. And he's like, hey, you haven't done shit. Okay, so I have a lot of questions, all right?
Okay.
So VP comes in, and his brother's, like, back to work, like, nothing's happened. And he's like, it's been 3 days, and your wife's gone. Your fiance's skipped town, she's been kidnapped.
And it's business as usual.
Yeah, and he's like, what are you doing, man? Get the fuck out of here. It's a work day. And, and my first question is, so if the dad wouldn't pay for her, why wouldn't this guy pay for her? No. He's like some rich lawyer. He can't, like, get a loan from his other lawyer friends or something and like scrounge up a little cool $2 million to get his fiance back.
Isn't it because it's in the legislature? Because like
but that's her dad.
Yeah, and he's like, I can't bend even to the legislature. I wrote this. I can't bend to the law.
Yeah, we'll get to that part.
Yeah.
So VP says to him, he goes, well, why can't you send in like a hit squad or hire mercenaries? And I go, yeah, why not?
Thank you.
And then his brother, he's like, all right. Why do you even care about this broad? What the hell's going on? So, but apparently VP spills all the beans off screen.
Yeah.
Because he just he gets to, he does his acting 101.
Yeah.
And he uses that wall and he puts his head and his hand on the wall and he's like, you want to know what's going on? I'll tell you. And then he spins around, but we cut, and that's it.
God damn it.
We don't even get to see
I wanted to see the steam come out of his ears.
So then we go to the senator's house. Okay, so he's watching a news report that they've obviously just ADR'd in.
Yeah, oh God, it's awful.
Their voiceover. And it says something which is really weird. It's like, the daughter of Senator so-and-so has been kidnapped by terrorists. Stay tuned after the break to see footage of her riding a horse. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck would I want to watch that? Oh my God. Honey, let's go to bed. No. Hold on. They're going to show that horse footage.
Yeah.
That's not a tease for after a commercial. No. Like, that's not something that's going to keep the audience around. So the mom comes in, her mom, Christy's mom, comes in and asks her husband, the senator, she's like, all right, well, are we just going to sit around here or, our daughter's missing? And he's like, you don't understand. We don't negotiate with terrorists. I introduced the goddamn legislation. My hands are tied. All right. I mean, honestly, just hire some fucking guys, go down there and see if they can get the job done.
Thank you.
Bing, bang, boom. Let's get this going, baby.
In and out. Open, close.
His solution is like, well, I mean, I can't negotiate with them, but I also can't do anything. So I'm going to let them win, but I don't like it.
We'll just make another.
Because, it never says what his plan is. His plan is to just sit there. Do you think, eventually they'll be like, all right, we'll let her go? Because, look, if they brought her all the way down to Central America, which, by the way, we never discussed the country. Can't wait to get to that.
No.
They just bring her down to this country, and he's like, well, I'm not going to pay you. And they're like, all right, honey, you got to go home. Here's some bus fare. Sorry.
Yeah.
Looks like we're not going to get our $2 million.
Yeah.
Have a nice life. It's going to end with either her dead or you giving them $2 million or you going down there and getting her.
Yeah.
Sitting her in front of your TV for 3 days isn't going to fix shit.
Hoping for her to come back.
He's using the power of prayer, Chris. I don't know what you want me to do. I prayed all night.
I drank the holy water.
So we go to Vincent Van Patten's room. I guess his dorm room or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's packing up a bag with clothes and handguns. And one of his friends who will come with them, who I don't know his name, and I don't even have anything to describe this man, he'll barely be in it, is like, what the hell are you doing? What are you, crazy? And he's like, well, maybe, but I'm going to go save her because apparently nobody in this town's going to do shit. And he basically is like, all right, well, I'll go with you. And apparently they're just going to go find Christy.
Yeah.
With one handgun in a duffel bag and get her back.
And a rocket launcher.
Yeah, I can't wait to get
God.
that. But also I noticed that if you look closely in VP's room, it's just like a smorgasbord of neon beer signs. It's like, I don't know who was set designing this, but there is a Coors Light neon sign within 5 feet of the bed, which I'm like, that's not a good nightlight. A very odd choice. And there's beer signs all over the place. This looks like where that hooker was taking those kids down in that basement in Last American Virgin.
Right.
He lives in that basement or something. There's beer signs everywhere.
I don't know. This is poor research on their part.
It was just odd. Yeah. Who has a neon sign within 5 feet of the bed?
Have you been in the red light district?
So basically now VP goes around and he convinces all his college buddies to basically die and go down to quote Central America to save Christy. And the one guy who's interested is this military dude, Henry, because he's like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm going. He's like, we might be able even to make it into Soldier of Fortune. I mean, this is my dream. And then there's this nerd guy that's all reluctant, but he agrees. And then we just go to a junkyard. So apparently, Chris, their plan is they've procured a bunch of assault weapons. And I write illegally, I'm assuming.
Oh, yes.
Including a fucking bazooka. But so this guy pulls it out. He's like, "Oh, check out what I got." I don't know where you would get this, but he pulls out this giant rocket launcher and he shoots it 10 feet away into a fridge that explodes, and they're all just laughing and
10 feet away. 10 feet away. This nearly blows this guy up.
But they're all laughing and everything. And then I know you like this part. So the nerd guy goes, "All right, well, I know you guys got the guns, but I brought my own contribution to this trip."
Oh, yeah. Let's pan over to the trunk. Pulls out a blow-up doll.
And they're all like, oh! So his contribution to this trip is he's going to bring a blow-up doll. And I write, like, okay, so there's one blow-up doll. Are they all going to take train? Like, are they going to run train on this blow-up doll or something?
Here's
like,
what I think is going to happen.
Jesus.
Here's what I imagine. They're going to put camo face paint on it, put a flak jacket around it, and just kind of dangle a string from a tree as a diversion with this blow-up doll.
Well, it's really sad because he doesn't bring the blow-up doll, which I really was hoping that they would. Like,
I was hoping.
How amazing would it have been?
Well, yeah, we see a blow-up doll and a chopper taking off at the end of the film.
Like all
piloting.
Well, by the way, this movie has like 8 scenes of them sleeping.
Yeah.
Which, like, there's multiple times where we just hang around a campsite
Yeah.
or I guess what is a hotel at one
Yeah.
point. I was like, how wonderful would it have been if they would just pan over every so often and you just see this guy like going like rick, 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 rick. Like you just hear an inflatable sound, you know. Hey, can you keep it down over there?
Gotta turn on a TV or something.
And some guy's like, when is it my turn?
Yeah.
So he doesn't bring the blow-up doll,
No.
which is a shame.
Oh,
because
disappointment.
Linda,
That should have been okay. It could have been a plot point. What if there's a point where they go off a cliff and they're into a river and they're drowning? They blow up the blow-up doll and they use it as a raft to find safety, and they're all on this blow-up doll, it's like paddling to safety.
I would have liked it if later on Richard Lynch was like, all right, what did you pack? And he opens that U-Haul and the blow-up doll just goes like blows up and he's just like, fucking amateurs. Cute kids, cute. So okay.
I would like if he strangled it and it popped.
Well, they don't bring the blow-up doll, Chris, because Linda walks up with the best line in this whole movie and goes,
Why take that when you can take the real thing?
So already,
and I'm like, whoa.
already the card is on the table.
Wait, Linda. I don't think you want to replace that blow-up doll on the strip. I really don't. Like, that would not be fun. Why take that blow-up doll when you can have the real thing? I don't know what that means.
That's all she's just offering herself as like a moral stable with 4 legs.
And she walks up. She is wearing the most badass looking outfit since Savage Street. She's like dressed all in black like she's fucking Cobra or something. And for the rest of this movie, she's just going to talk in one-liners.
Yeah.
So she goes,
Oh, boy.
Are you boys finished playing with yourselves?
Carla, can't you ever find something nice to say? What are you doing here, Carla?
Look, I know what you guys are doing. Everybody does. Henry's been shooting his mouth off all over town.
How'd you know we were here?
It's not hard. You guys are making enough noise.
and then they're like all pissed. They're like, Carla, what are you even doing here? Know about this? And she says all this stuff where she goes, well, it's not hard. Everybody in town knows what you're doing. This fucker over here is telling everybody. And she goes, and you're making a lot of noise. It's like, yeah, man, you're
Setting off rocket launchers.
setting off fucking rocket launchers in LA. People are aware, okay? They've been blowing up shit. They've been blowing up fridges all afternoon. Giant plumes of fire are going into the sky.
You think there'd be a chopper around their place at this point? Like a little visit from LAPD?
Yeah, I think the police have questions, and they got answers.
Yeah.
But, so basically Linda's like, well, no, I'm going. And they're like, well, no. And she says this stuff in Spanish, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, what's that mean? And he's like, well, I don't speak French or some dumb fucking joke.
I don't speak Jewish.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
And then she says, were you guys planning on hiring an interpreter or just teaching the entire population English? Well, that is a good point.
Yeah.
And some guy says, well, that's real funny. And she goes,
Were you guys planning to hire an interpreter or just teach the entire population English?
Well, now that's real funny.
It's about as funny as 5 college students going down to Central America and getting their butts shot off.
There's only 4 of us.
There's 5.
I'm getting a bad feeling about this.
Lock and load.
so, okay, now the preparation is over because we immediately hard cut to some Jeep on a dirt road.
Yeah.
And there's just a sign that says U.S. border.
With no fence.
With no fence or anything. And they just...
Here's what we severely miss is like the montage of them like gearing up.
Yeah, they're like, no, we don't have the budget. Just go, go, get them in there.
Yeah, like no lock and load clips being loaded. Linda putting on a headband.
No, well, she will have a headband. You're right. They should have had the scene of her tying it. You know, her real Rambo getup,
or like putting the bandolier around the blow up doll.
Maybe that's when you had the blow up doll pop.
It's ready to go.
Maybe have a scene of like the nerd guy like whining and dining her, and then he brings her home, and it's just he walks out of the bedroom and she's all deflated in his arms, you know? And they all just shake their heads. You know? So then, so there's just this small sign that says U.S. border, and apparently these idiots have rented a U-Haul trailer, shoved a bunch of guns into it, just covered it with like a blanket.
Yeah.
And they loaded into VP's Jeep, and now they're just going to go into, quote, Central America and find Christy.
Yeah. Did they make a mention about something on a map or not on a map?
Yeah, Linda's like, are you sure? Where are we? Do you even know where we're going? And he's like, well, it's on the map.
No, it's not.
I'm like, okay, whoa. You don't even know what fucking country they're in? Like, Central America is a big place.
Yeah.
The country of Mexico would take you a while to drive through. And trust me, you're not going to get far with that U-Haul full of guns.
No!
Like, people are going to be asking a lot of
If they have a lot
questions.
of money, they will.
You're not getting past the cops. You are not getting anywhere with that shit. So their plan apparently is just, fuck it. It's just some shithole country. We're just going to go down there. We're going to drink some margaritas. We're going to find this girl and just bring her back.
Just light him up if we have to.
Yeah, we'll fucking kill some guys. I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready. Yeah. You know, we practiced. We shot that blow-up doll.
We blew up a fridge. We're good.
We blew up that fridge. Fridge just like a person. So this is their whole plan. They're just going to drive into, quote, Central America, no country, and just find her.
Yeah, there's no leads on where she is in Central America. No leads.
They may not even have someone that speaks Spanish. And we'll find that out because the first thing we see is... So we go to a bar in America, all right? This is the last scene that'll take place in America. The guy who's gonna marry Christy is at a bar with some, like, a lawyer friend of his, and he's all upset because he's like, I can't believe my brother would go down there and do this. And he's like, he's making me look like a real coward.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, there's friend that's there. He's like, man, just shut the fuck up. He's like, he's going down to some rat hole of a country. That's what he says. Rat hole.
Building strong relations
like,
here.
He even says to him, he goes, what do you think he's going to do? He ain't gonna do shit down there. He's like, your brother's a fucking moron. He's riding around in a Jeep with guns and a fucking bazooka in a U-Haul, and he's gonna go find her? He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, this is like the everyman of the film, but the only one with sense.
It's the only guy who says this is the stupidest fucking idea he's ever heard, and even VP's brother is still like kind of pissed about it. He's like, yeah, but what if? So... we go to this terrorist camp, which, oh, God, this camp. So Chrissy is in, like, some bamboo cage. Like, this is fucking Gilligan's Island, right?
Yeah.
In this cage, by the way, the bars are a good, like, 6 inches from each other. She could just crawl right out.
And the cage kind of, over there, like, those gags where there's a wind and like the house tilts. This cage tilts, which means the bottom isn't far off the ground, if not secured at all. She could lift up the bottom of some bitch and crawl out from under.
She could, because it's like, this is just not even a prop. Like, it's not even a prop cell. It's just
a Fisher-Price crib turned upside down, spray painted like bamboo. This is all this is.
And the other thing is they don't even have the decency to give her a pair of clothes because she's like in this prison cell naked outside, which is like, if you got a senator's daughter, you might think about taking care of her a little bit to try and get that money.
Yeah.
Because this is just ridiculous. Like, this girl might just die from exposure at night.
Oh, exactly.
So she's like trying to shove straw under herself to cover up. And then okay, so basically there's like this guy that's introduced that's gonna like be friendly to her, but then we see the bad guy, right? Esteban, who we'll learn about later.
Oh yeah.
And like some guy comes up and he's like, oh, he's like, so 2 other henchmen come up, right? And one of them's got like a guy dressed in a Friar Tuck priest outfit, right? Like they just went to the costume store. They're like, you got any priest outfits? Well, we're out of actual priest outfits, but we do have this old
Robin Hood, ye old friar outfit.
Robin Hood friar outfit. Well, I have to do. It's Mexico or some shit. Nobody will know. Nobody will know. It's like a third world country down there. They still dress in rags, I think. I don't even...
I think.
All I know about that country is tacos and priests. That's all they got. And guns and terrorists and drugs.
Corruption, maybe.
And by the way, there's no towns. There's just a bunch of trees and water.
And choppers in the middle of nowhere.
So, and they use bamboo for the cage. This country doesn't even have fucking bamboo, by the way.
Thank you.
Where did they get their bamboo?
Was it important?
This is a fucking bamboo. This is in Hawaii, man. What the fuck is this bamboo doing out in the middle of the desert? I just ordered this thing on mail order. It's coming in. It's a great little some bamboo jail cell. I saw it in this catalog. Should work great.
Yes. Saw it on the flight over here. Sky Mall had it.
So basically, they bring this Friar Tuck priest over, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, this guy says he's a priest, but I think he's a spy. And then the priest just runs off, and this one henchman tries to shoot him. And Esteban grabs the gun from him before he shoots it, and he slaps the man in the face, and he goes, "We don't kill priests." And I just write, okay. Wonder if this will be explained, because I'm very confused at this moment on why this even happened. And also, I think Esteban is just a white man in brown face.
I think it's just Fidel Castro.
Oh, it's definitely supposed to be Castro, right? Because he's always got this cigar in his mouth, and he's got the beard and the hat.
Yeah.
It's seriously, Chris, I think this is a white guy in brown face. Because there's a part later in the movie where his face is way darker than the rest of his body, and I'm like, oh, man. They couldn't have even hired a real Hispanic guy?
I don't know.
Maybe they hired a guy just based on his name. Mr. Sanchez. And then he shows up and they're like, oh, shit. You're supposed to be a Mexican. And he goes, no, I do a great accent. I see, senor. All right.
Make a mean carne.
Get some of that dirt. Wipe it on his face. Roll the camera. Nobody's going to know.
Roll around in that tar over there.
I'll tell you the truth. I don't know anything about this country. I don't know what... You see the guy like from Esteban. He's like, so what's my motivation? I see my outfit is of Cuban. Just obviously we're not in Cuba because that's an island.
And there's bamboo.
That's an island. Oh shit. Obviously we're supposed to be in some tropical setting.
Yeah.
But you keep saying Central America. What's my motivation? Like, where am I from? What do you mean? I'm sorry. Well, you say I'm from Central America. There's multiple countries down there. You know, is it Nicaragua? I mean, Mexico? Any one of the other? El Salvador? I mean, any one of these? You know what? Come over here. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. All right. These are Americans watching this movie. Put some brown face on. Just put on some sort of Hispanic. You've been to a restaurant, right? You've been to a Taco Bell. Just put on a little bit of an accent, you know. Drop in some reference about tacos, rice every now and then. And
priest.
They love the priests down there.
Little Hail Mary.
Like, nobody's gonna know, all right? You look great. You look like a dictator or some general or something. That's all that's gonna
terrorist.
Just put that cigar in your mouth.
And roll it.
Put on your best Mexican accent or central accent, whatever they call it, and roll the cameras. All right, let's go. So we cut from that to a room full of candles and these college kids, and I just write, where the fuck are we?
Thank you.
So we never get the explanation of this. They're basically all sleeping on mats on a floor.
This is just the weary traveler rest stop that is just so in the middle of nowhere. It's supposed to take us away. It's supposed to disorient us, I think.
That we don't know where they are, what country they're in. I'm assuming Mexico.
Yeah.
Where they're even staying. Like, this is obviously not a hotel.
Right.
It's like a giant room with mattresses, dirty mattresses on the floor, and a bunch of candles. And I could just imagine them being like, Mr. Folds, where are we? I don't know, some sort of hotel or something. Like, what? There's just mattresses on the floor. I mean, is there a bed or anything? Look, this country's a shithole.
That's answered everything.
They don't have beds down there. To my knowledge, all they got is mattresses on the floor. You know, you're lucky you're not sleeping in the hay, girl.
Hay is for fucking. Fucking it.
America has all the riches. This country's a piece of shit. I know you're a bunch of rich kids, but trust me, there's no options for you down there. There's not even a fucking Radisson.
Howard Johnson, never heard of it.
Nothing. The Doubletree, no. They ain't even got Motel 6 down there. It's just shitholes on the side of the road.
Motel turd.
Like, somebody's like, Mexico City's a real city, sir. Not to my knowledge.
I want to see the world map in this man's mind.
Like, where are they? You'll never see any sort of like city or anything.
Yeah.
They're just in like, I guess they just drove through the fucking woods, and they're somehow in like some like fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre room. Where they've spent the night. Did they pay for this room? I don't know. Who lit all those candles? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more candles than Hell Night in this fucking thing.
Yeah.
So the military guy is serenading all of them with stories from his Soldier of Fortune magazine. He's reading it out loud.
Want to get them riled up for what's ahead.
Yeah, he's like, and then I saw the beady eyes. They're like, Henry, please. And he says all this stuff. He goes, oh boy, if I could only have been in the shit. I want to have seen the horror. He says the horror. Like he's fucking Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now or some shit. He's talking about snails crawling along razors and shit. So, basically, this ends with the door opening and some old lady with a cane walking in to like spooky music.
Yeah, like
it's
she's like some ominous, this might be the one who's, someone's going to take us out tonight.
Yeah, who?
Yeah.
Other than maybe they snuck in a Leatherface's barn.
Yeah.
Like, why would somebody be chasing you? Nobody's chasing you. Nobody gives a fuck. No. And I just write, this was all completely useless. Completely. Like, this whole scene doesn't make any sense.
I think they just use this for passage of time. Like, this is the time that's elapsed, which equates to distance traveled.
Like, could you see, like, Mr. Folds, do we really need this scene in the hotel? Shut up. We got to show how shitty this country is. You sleep on the floor in this place. Everything about it is horrible. There's no redeeming qualities to Central America.
Thanks for letting us film here.
We won't even use the name of a country. It's so shitty. It all just blends together into one cesspool of shit.
Toilet paper, you used their flag.
What flag it is, I don't know. Yeah. So we go to this town, and the kids pull up in their U-Haul to the local theme park stunt show. Mm-hmm. This is the worst fucking set. So it's just like some dirt and like.
This is the Universal Studios Hollywood Wild West stunt show.
Yes, it looks like the Universal tour. Like this whole thing was filmed on the Universal lot.
Yeah.
So there's this like definitely fake set. There's nothing else around. It's just like this.
The random crates piled in like nice little areas for someone to fall onto.
Like, I swear to God, one of the railings is ready to break off. You know,
the candy glass windows.
I go, and I just wrote at this point, I go, so U-Haul is very prominent. And I'm
Yo,
like,
yes.
I would just love to have been a fly on the wall for the pitch meeting of that U-Haul meeting with the U-Haul people.
Yeah.
And then being like, all right, so we got an idea for your truck that we think you're really going to like, okay? These kids are going to go down into this shithole of a country in Central America. Oh, what country? Shut up. We don't know. Hold on. You're going to love this, though. They're going to bring a bunch of guns, and they're going to rescue their friend. And you know how they're going to do it? They're going to do it with a U-Haul. Because it's a company you trust. What do you think?
Ironclad reputation.
Well, we won't give you a truck, but we'll give you a trailer. And also, you're going to have to pay for it. Yeah. And also, if you could cover the name, that would be nice. Because we don't want to be associated with this. So 5 white people walk into a bar in Central America is how this joke starts. And on the way in, the nerd guy says hi to a monkey.
Yeah.
Which will come into play.
Yep.
So these 5 white kids walk into a bar, and everybody's just watching them, these locals, right? What country these locals are from, we don't know. Also, they all speak English. So, but the VP asks Linda, he's like, all right, well, how do you ask for 5 cold beers in Spanish? And I write, hold on, let's slow down here. Mm-hmm. So, Chris, they've just woken up.
Yep.
Their first stop is a bar in some town, and their plan is, let's just get some beers.
Fill it out.
see where the day takes us. Let's get a feel for the lay of the land.
Get to know the locals.
Like, what's the fucking plan? They're just going to go get drunk?
Well, this was just an elaborate ruse for like a spring break getaway.
It's like 11 a.m. and they're like, well, I don't know what to do, but we might as well start drinking early.
Hopefully the day will go quick. We'll pass out early.
But you know what? They don't even know how to say 5 beers. Cinco cervezas, por favor. They're so fucking dumb. They can't get that.
Corona, Tecate. You ever do that
You ever
Tecate
do
beer?
that Tecate beer? Beer. You know what a beer is?
Firewater.
You don't have Budweiser down in there? Coors Light? I would expect that from this shithole of a country. So, and then it becomes very apparent that Linda doesn't speak Spanish because she says, well, how do I know?
Yeah.
And he's like, but you said you knew Spanish. And she's like, well, you said you weren't having an affair. He's like, well, okay. And she's like, so now we're even.
So now we're both fucked.
Okay. So, and I write, so this is even worse because Linda didn't know Spanish, yet she made that crack about them going down without an interpreter and teaching the whole population English.
Now she's dead weight. She's even more useless.
So that whole joke was for nothing because that's what they did.
Yeah, she's now a woman, which can now be used as more ransom in a shithole country. She's leveraged, if anything else.
And so then some guy comes up and tries to hit on Linda, and then they all leave the bar, and then we see this shot of this mysterious man at the end of the bar, Indiana Jones, the only other white guy in this town.
Yeah.
With his indie hat on and his indie outfit. The only thing he's missing is that whip.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like watching him leave out of the corner of his eye. But then they leave the bar, and they've just in time, Chris. The stunt show is starting. Mm-hmm. The 12 o'clock show is on.
The audience is in their seats. The announcement has been made. Please remain seated. There is maybe pyrotechnics involved. Small children not advised.
The locals come out.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I'm going to take that Jeep. So the locals, by the way, speak English perfectly, but they all have this like, hey, gringo, I'm going to take that Jeepo. You know, like this is how they talk. And he's like, oh, no, sir. That's our Jeep. I'm not going to give it to you. Yeah. And he's like, oh, no, you don't understand. I'm going to take that Jeep. And then Indy comes out, and Richard Lynch just takes this movie by the fucking balls and says, you want a movie? I'll give you a fucking movie. So he walks out, and he basically says, like, you're standing too close to my machine.
This is like a very Clint Eastwood good, the bad, and the ugly moment. It's so good.
And he just tells this guy down, and he's like, hey, we'll take whatever we want. And he just, basically this whole fight happens, right? The local stunt show has started.
Yeah.
This big fight happens, and they kill some people.
Yeah.
So VP and his friends pull out handguns and just start shooting at these guys, unprovoked, really. And they just drive off, and then a car full of locals follows them. And then military guy goes, well, I know how to get him. And he climbs into the back while the car's moving to that U-Haul, grabs the bazooka.
Yeah. Because, all right, before he does that, I was watching this going, you know what? Why hasn't he pulled that thing out yet? Why are they being chased and not, like, taking care of business? Oh, 1 second later, out comes the bazooka.
Then TCB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care of business.
Pulls out that bazooka.
Yeah.
Doesn't hit the car. He, like, hits the road or something, and they, like, fly up.
Well, they have to hit the rock because the rock's going to propel them with the air pressure plate underneath it. So for the stunt to be pulled off properly, as mandated by universal safety.
Yeah, they're like, no full explosions.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You don't have the money for that. You can flip this car, and that's about it.
Yeah. Thank you, Vestron.
Okay, and it cuts from there to our first camping scene.
Of many.
It's night now, and the military guy, so Henry's all, like, regaling everybody about the stories of the day. He's like, and then I saw him in my sights, and I knew it was time. And I pulled the trigger, and I missed them, but I still kind of hit them, and then they died. And the nerd guy's like, I don't know why you're so happy about this. We killed people today. And he's like, I think you're enjoying this. And he's like, yeah, I am. And then they get in a big, like, fist fight.
Yeah.
And Linda, okay, so then all of a sudden a gunshot goes off, and Linda walks into the scene holding a gun, and she goes, look, we're not here to kill each other, but if you want to, go ahead, and chucks the gun on the ground. But then, Chris, the most amazing thing happens.
Our boy, Indiana Jones himself, rolls in.
Slow claps in.
Yeah.
So Linda says her line.
Yeah.
And he just...
Look, we're not here to kill each other, but if you want to, go ahead.
Now that's a marvelous speech, young lady. Producing the desired result as well.
They're all, we're here to find our friend. And he's like, look, you've pissed off a lot of people. You killed people today. There are people looking for you. They're well aware of what's going on here. They can hear your gunshots. They can see your fire and your smoke.
Okay, they're trying to lay low. They got a bonfire going.
Yeah, and he basically says, we'll go to my place in the morning. And then he lays down on this blanket and just...
Yeah, the Clint Eastwood style, hat over the face, rolls out the poncho, night.
And they just write, okay, well, cut. Next day, they're now at Indy's house, and this movie is about to get way weirder. So Indy, in this shithole of a country, also lives on, like, some sort of, like, swamp bog house.
Yeah, some
like,
bayou
down by the
thing.
freaking bayou set over on Universal.
Yeah.
Mr. Folds, this doesn't look like the rest of the country. Shut up. Nobody's going to know the difference. It's a bayou set. You know what? Mexico's just one big shithole. I mean, this doesn't even look like anywhere else they've been in the whole movie.
There's been no bodies of water. Anyway, this is like a lake.
But they're at this lake house with, like, seaweed hanging in the trees and all this shit.
No, it looks like it's hanging on a clothesline.
And he goes, yeah, it is weird. And he says something about how we're going to lay low for a few days until things blow over.
Oh, God.
And VP's like, well, we can't. We got to find our friend. She was kidnapped. And he's like, oh, are you talking about that senator's girl? And they're like, well, how'd you know? And I'm like, what a coincidence. What a small shithole of a country this Central America is. They just happen to find the one man who knows everything and is also an ex-military guy and will also be able to train them and also knows the people who kidnapped this girl. What are the odds?
Yeah.
So he basically tells them, oh, you're looking for this man named Esteban, and you got an appointment with death. And then, so we hard cut to a shot of them now in Indy's house, and he's sitting by a fire.
And he's pulling a Ron Burgundy. He's pulling the full flute solo. Just,
So he's
dazzling them.
he's playing a flute song for them,
Yeah.
and they're all sitting around waiting for him to finish.
Because there's like pertinent information that needs to be explained here. But no, let's wait for me to finish my flute solo.
Do you think it was like they went into this house and they're like, all right, so what do you know? And he goes, hold on, I never get visitors. Can you listen to this and give me notes? And they're like, what are we gonna listen to? And he's like, well, I know how to play the flute.
At least I think I do.
I'd love to play for you all. And so he just sits there and he plays next to the fire. Then he stops when I guess the song is over.
Yeah.
And he tells them this story. And by the way, that monkey from the bar is his assistant.
Yeah.
And lives with this man. And his name is like Pin or something.
Pin or something.
So basically he tells him this story about Esteban. It doesn't matter. But basically it's something about how he once castrated some guy and then cut his head off and they played a game of soccer with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, in Central America, they do call it football, but what do we fucking care? So they say to Indy, they go, well, what about you? Why are you here? Why do you live in this shithole? And he just goes, you shouldn't ask questions. And then he finishes his flute song. He wasn't done.
Hold on, there's a second movement here. I need to get to it.
So then we cut to later, and like Indy's standing out at the U-Haul, and he looks at that. And he's like, well, this is all fine if you're going to be in World War II, but this is, he says, quote, this is the 80s. Which I really don't know what that means.
Guerrilla warfare.
So, of course, Indy has like a whole munitions cache buried under this ground, and he just lifts up this blanket.
Which is shoddily laying out, because you clearly see this like big plate of wood sticking out. You can clearly see it from walking away.
And he's got like 40 caliber rifles like under here, and he just picks it up with like one hand and he like tosses it over to VP, and he's like, yeah, how's that feel on you, boy?
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, this guy, none of you could lift that.
No.
And so the next thing is like they basically mount that to their Jeep.
Mm-hmm. He's like, nah, here's how you do it. Hold it there. Now pull the trigger. Yeah, feel it in your hands. Oh, yeah.
Then we hard cut to the prison camp, and like Christy's in her bamboo jail cell, and a guy's like nice to her, and he gives her like an apple and some clothes. Still not enough to really cover herself up, but
no, she's just kind of like got the Jane of the Jungle thing going now.
Yeah, and which is weird is because he gives her a shirt, and I swear to God, she rips it.
Yeah, I feel she needs to make a bottom.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, she has no bottom. I mean,
I was
got
thinking
a shirt.
she's like, oh, this exposed. This doesn't even let my midriff exposed. I mean, what is this?
No, I
it's
mean,
too hot here to wear a full shirt.
Yeah, she's gonna get a UTI. I mean, she's got nothing down there. Come on.
It would be great at one point you just come back to the prison camp and it's just a rotting skeleton, like a corpse just there.
And a crop top.
Like, whatever happened to that girl we kidnapped?
What center is that? Oh, no. Well, how are we going to tell Fidel about this? Who's going to be the one to tell him?
So we go back to Indy and the gang, and the monkey's now sitting on his shoulder, and he's helped them load their U-Haul for war. And they thank him. They're like, well, thank you, mysterious man, for all your help. We're going to go save our friend now.
Christ.
And then they drive off, and this man, Indiana Jones, Richard Lynch, is certified as insane.
Yeah.
Because he starts to talk to the monkey and have a full conversation with him. He's like, do you think they're going to make it? And the monkey's like, and he goes, yeah, me too. And I just write, this man is actually literally insane. Like,
I don't think those guns even work. I think those are like...
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Why does he have all these weapons? Why does he live by some peat bog in the middle of Central America?
What's his character's investment in this group? Why is he helping them?
Well, we'll find out in his loose excuse in a little bit.
Thank you. Yes.
So we go to the gang. They're all dressed up for war now. Linda has her Rambo-esque headband on.
Yeah.
And they're driving around in the Jeep. And a guy goes, nothing can stop us now, guys. And then the Jeep breaks down.
Yeah. And it's like not even it's a really quick cut after that.
Yeah, and
God forbid.
They're like working on it, and the nerd guy's a mechanic, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, can you fix it? And he's like, no, the radiator's busted. He's like, well, just fix it. And he's like, I don't think you fucking understand. We're in the middle of the jungle, and the radiator's broken. Yeah. He's like, do you know where there's a fucking auto parts store in this shithole? And then Indy slow claps his way into another scene. Apparently, he was just following him.
Yeah, like how long was he walking before he caught up to them, like stuck, doing nothing? Like,
because he walks in and he goes, you're a bunch of fucking amateurs. Me and Pin were discussing it, and we think
we came to a gentleman's agreement.
We think you might need help. It was Pin's idea, not mine. Trust me, I want to leave you for dead.
Yeah.
And this is when I broke down. I wrote, who is this man? What does he want from them?
Yeah.
What the fuck is he doing living down here? And what the fuck country are we in? What the I need fucking answers at this point. But no, it's night. Let's go to another fucking camp scene.
Okay, so they're working on this Jeep. What parts did they get from him to get this Jeep up and running?
I don't know, Chris.
How is this thing now getting
because
repaired?
also this man rides around in a fucking German Nazi World War II fucking sidecar motorcycle, which I'm assuming the monkey rides on the sidecar.
I would love to see that scene of the monkey riding in the center.
Like, what the fuck?
I think he's so insane he lets the monkey drive and he's in the sidecar.
Apparently he had that spare radiator, or they went to the local Pep Boys and got some fucking radiator.
Built one.
Well, at one point some guy says while he's fixing it, he goes, "What are you, fucking Manny Moe and Jack?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess so, because they fix it. And okay, so we go to the next camping scene, and Indy goes up to Linda and he gives her a blanket and he talks to her for a while, and they just share. They literally, the conversation they have is just one-liners. Like Indy's like, "It's a rough country down here," and she's like, "I know, but I gotta do what's right." And he's like, "I know what's right, but do you know what's wrong?" Some things you just gotta do because you love.
These are just Kenny Loggins lyrics.
Yeah, they're just talking in one-liners to each other. And then he's basically like, "Do you know anything about guns or anything? Do you know what you're doing?" And she goes, "I once shot at the Beverly Hills Gun Club." And he's basically like, "Well, this ain't no video game, Missy. These people shoot back."
No shit.
And then she's like, "Well, why are you helping us? Who are you, by the way?" And he goes, "I'm not helping you." Or he goes, "I'm not helping them. I'm helping you." And he's like, I wrote, "Are they gonna fuck?"
Yeah.
Like,
why is he helping her now?
Yeah, well, why? The only thing he's ever seen of Linda is just her tagging along with these guys.
Yeah, now he's gonna see the back of her head.
And then I wrote, I got it. I think that this man might just be waiting for all these kids to die so he can harvest the organs and sell them. And he's like, "It's much cleaner if I don't have to kill. I'll just bring these people over to Esteban. We got a good deal running. Yeah. He'll cut them open, give me those livers." And that's how he makes a living. Every time one of these tourists comes down to save their friend, he's like, "Oh, I know what to do. Me and the monkey will help you." And it's just big, elaborate ruse to sell organs on the black market. That's my theory, Chris.
Good theory.
So then we go to this prison camp, some useless shit with this guy who's nice to Christy. She asks him for help. Okay, so she's like, "Can you help me, please?" And he goes, "I'll help you if you help me get into your country." And she's like, "Yeah, sure. Whatever." Yeah, whatever.
You mean that line that fence that isn't there? That's so hard to cross.
I imagine them getting back, and then as soon as he steps out onto America, he just says like, "America," and then she goes, "Oh, take him away, boys."
Let me grow.
Anybody got ice on speed dial? He's like, "No."
Dragged away, kicking and screaming.
Okay, so then we go to the only like town in this movie. This is not a town. This is like I don't know how to explain this other than like some sort of like Aztec set on Universal Studios or something where they film like Apocalypto or something. It's like a fucking Aztec temple with a restaurant built into it where this mariachi band's like playing around town and they're just having lunch and a few beers because they're like, "Oh, you know, this is a lot of hard work."
We need to take a load on.
And like the mariachi band comes over and they're like, "Come on, nerd guy, dance." And he's dancing around.
There's time to dance. Never mind.
Linda and Indy are like taking a stroll down to the local tchotchkes booth there buying souvenirs. Linda's like, I'm looking for a magnet.
Do you have a mariachi earring?
You got those jumping beans? Or is that only something I hear about? I do want a shirt, though. I gotta get a shirt. A shirt and a magnet. Oh, a postcard would be nice.
Do Do you got one of them sombrero bras? Those novelty sombrero bras? My nipples look like sombreros. They're pointing out.
They have a fucking gift shop. Who's coming down here? Where are they?
This is not a resort. This is not a destination, believe me. Look at the fucking set.
So Linda, she asked Andy, she's like, well, why do you play the flute? Of all the questions to ask, by the way.
And we get a priceless response.
Oh, God. His response is basically, well, it confuses people.
So let me get this straight. In the heat of battle, he's going to pull out a flute and start playing, and then go, we don't know what to do. Drop their guns and just start asking questions.
It's basically what he says.
Yeah.
He's like, it confuses the fuck out of people. They don't know what to think because I'm such a badass, but then I pull out a flute. And they're taken off guard.
Yeah.
Taken off guard for what? You're right. Like, is he doing this in battle, or is this just a way he lures women in before they pay the ultimate price? And so he basically says, plus it's part of an international language. And I'm like, whatever the fuck that means.
Nope, I'm sorry. Anyone with a flute that listens to the show, please let us know what that language is. Is there a brotherhood, a union, a flute union, a flunion, if you will?
I wish he would have kept referring to the monkey. He's like, because Pin really likes the flute. He loves it. He loves the flute.
We have a racket going on.
That's how we met.
We have a racket. That's how they met, yeah.
So he tells Linda, all right, this gets even weirder. She's like, well, why are you down here? And he says, I was transferred here after Nam, after the fall of Saigon. And I go, what?
Thank you.
Why? What?
What are they to do? What is
you and who was transferred down here? What the fuck?
Just me, myself, and I. I think Mike. I think it was a Section 8, Section 8 transfer.
Yeah, transferred. All right. Yeah. They just go like, all right.
They push him off the plane on the way back home.
Richard, Indy, look. We've never seen so many Viet Cong murdered in cold blood, and we know a lot of these weren't even the enemy. These were town people. You and Pin need to go. We're going to send you down to South America, just cause a lot of problems down there. Oh, I'm sorry, Central America.
Yeah.
Completely different continent or whatever, you know. What country are you sending me to? We don't know, really. We're the military. It's just an area. Just you know what? Just go down there. We're gonna send somebody down every now and then. Just tell us what's going on.
You're our new intelligence officer down there. Yeah, intelligence. That sounds good, right? Yeah.
Do I get guns? Sure. We'll send you some guns. Send you. Well, what's the mission? You know what? We don't know. Actually,
just observe. Observe.
You know what? Actually, we need a map. Could you tell us where the countries start and end down there?
That is what it's called.
We don't really know. We border this.
Relations are at an all-time low.
We border Central America, but we realize we know nothing about it. We need a man on the inside.
Yeah.
Well, so obviously he works for the CIA or something, right?
I mean, we send people over, but it gets too hot and they come back. We send them with a bottle of water. They get hungry, and then, why are you back? I got hungry. I guess it's hot. What do you want from me? There's nothing here.
He's just writing letters to the military every day.
And it's going to Santa's village.
He's like, Pin, bring this to the postman. And Pin just walks out to the lake and just chucks it in there.
Before defecating upon it.
I asked for backup. They never came. I don't know, Pin.
Yeah. I want to see the day that comes where he goes diving and he finds them. He kills Pin.
Pin my letters. So we don't find out anything because all of a sudden a Jeep and horses pull up for no reason and they just start massacring everybody in this town, including the people. Does this have anything to do with the terrorists? I don't fucking know.
Knows?
Are these a terrorist? We don't know.
No.
But they get in a big fight, and they're like running their horses through tables in the restaurant and everything.
Yeah, I was saying anything that has a solid wall, a horse will run through it. I want like an outline of a horse through a brick wall at one point. I want that.
So they're like throwing grenades and shooting everybody up, and VP and his buddies are killing tons of people.
Yeah, this is the matinee showing of the stunt show, by the way.
Yeah, they've caught it just in time. And then, so Linda is now no longer a badass.
No.
All she does is duck behind things and like cry.
Yeah.
And Indy's like, run. And she's like, I don't know it. And then, so they kill a bunch of guys, and then they keep one hostage. And then we cut to some cave. So they're in some sort of like what looks like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride again.
Yeah.
And they're in this cave, and we just hear screams and somebody being like, I wonder what he's doing to that guy. And then Indy walks in like wiping his hands clean.
Yeah.
And the one guy goes, what the hell did you do to that guy? And he says, a little something I picked up from the Viet Cong. Like, okay.
So was he...
Like, this guy lived like the fucking deer hunter, Chris.
Was
like,
he a POW? That's what I want to know.
That's what I'm saying. It was like the deer hunter.
Yeah.
This guy was at that table with Christopher Walken while they're playing fucking Russian roulette.
Oh, no.
You want to know what I did? I cut his fucking dick off. That's what I did. Made him eat it. The screams, the horror. He's just... This guy is a fucking madman.
And I
can
him.
only hope that Pin was involved in that torture.
Like little shackles, little monkey up on like a wall with shackles hanging from above.
You know, he's got like he's got his nipples or his balls attached to the car battery, you know, and he's like, come on, Pin, turn the key. Let him get another. Shack him again, Pin. So basically, he says, he talked. And now we know where Esteban is. So if you ever want to know if torture works, yes, it does. So the next day now, VP and Indy like go to stake out Esteban's camp. And like all of a sudden they go on this hill and Indy says like, I knew that's where they kept the chopper. And we're like, wait, what? So apparently they have this helicopter and they just see a shot of Esteban riding around in a limo shooting in the air.
Yeah.
And VP goes, why is he doing that? And the only response that he gives is he goes, it's boring in the jungle.
That's it.
So that's why he's
Done.
just like, you don't understand, kid. It gets boring.
Done.
You'll start talking to a monkey after a while. The mail never comes.
It never goes.
So we go back to the camp at night. And there were another camp scene.
Oh, God.
And Linda and VP have some useless conversation about Christy. And then Linda's like, well, do you think we really have a chance? Because I think we're all just going to die. And I write, you don't have a chance, Linda. This is literally the stupidest fucking idea of all time. You don't know who this man is. You don't know if you're going to be led into certain death.
They don't have enough gas to get back.
I mean, nothing. This plan is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
You're going to end up dead.
Yeah.
So when you're crying, going like, I think we're all going to die. It's like, yeah, pretty much. But then Linda says, but I know we're doing what's right.
I love that part.
And then I write, so she went from being a total badass to a scared little girl about halfway through this movie,
Right.
which I don't understand.
This is not a transformation.
Do you think maybe Linda was just scared in real life? She's like, I'm scared of this movie. I shouldn't have agreed to it. They said I could sing the theme song, but I didn't know what the fuck I was getting myself into. The director's insane. So we go to Esteban's camp, and a bunch of guys are cheering and watching these two guys have a UFC fight.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they're also cheering by throwing dirt at the fight, which I thought was an odd choice.
They're throwing dirt into their eyes. They're trying to fight dirty.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
And so while this is going on, that one guy lets Christy out of the bamboo cage, and she rides off on a horse. And then like another guy goes to chase her, and he shoots the guy who helped her. So that's a wrap on that guy. He never made it to America. She didn't give a fuck about him.
Nope.
Which, by the way, it's like, if he's gonna help her, get on the fucking horse,
Yeah, she
dude.
should have like ridden on this, horseback with her.
Yeah, grab a gun, get on the horse, and fire at the guys while they chase.
Yeah.
But no, she leaves him. She's like, thanks for nothing. And he gets shot. He's dead. So that other guy, he like chases her down in a Jeep, and it's a Jeep on horse chase. She falls off, and then for some reason, she can't walk anymore.
No, she's just like, all of a sudden she's got like some bow-legged leg disease from, oh, you know why? Maybe because she was sitting in that cage the whole time, and her legs atrophied.
Well, no, but she does get up in a little bit. But she's like, ah, and just like starts crawling. Like, I can't, my legs don't work.
I'm going to say it's
You think the director's like, your legs work? I don't know. I don't want to stand. So she crawls out of this lake, and then this guy comes up and he rips her shirt off because they're like, well, we haven't had nudity in a long time. Yeah. She couldn't have that fantasy scene in the cage, so that would have been funny. Is at one point it cut to her rubbing herself in that cage thinking about that. Maybe she's thinking about the shower that time, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if this is like a whole Jacob's Ladder scenario? And
Yeah.
that she was in the cage the whole time having that fantasy about all this?
And what if she's back at home in the shower thinking about the cage?
That's how it should have ended. Okay, so basically this guy tries to rape her, but then Esteban comes up and shoots the guy and kills him. And then he like puts her up to her feet. And that's when I write, I'm serious about this. I think Esteban's just a white man in brown face. He does, as I write, he looks a lot like Fidel Castro. So he brings Christy to her feet, and he's like, you see what happens when you run off? And then he slaps her back down to the ground. And then I think he rapes her.
We don't see it, thank God, but I'm
he
assuming.
takes his belt off.
Yeah.
And he looks down at her. Cut.
Yeah, I think he did.
I'm like, but why did he shoot the other guy?
He doesn't want sloppy seconds. All I can think of.
So then we go back to Esteban's camp, and the gang is now sneaking up with their guns and a bazooka. Indy blows up some guard tower with a rocket launcher, and then they all fire their guns. Okay, so basically the way that these actors fire their guns is Vincent Van Patten pulls down the trigger and then just starts waving it wildly, like
left, right, left, right, left, right. It's like a windshield wiper going back and forth, like he's putting out a fire with like a runaway hose.
It was like, it's either he did that or the director's like, no, shake it around.
Spray and pray.
I mean, he looks insane. He looks like a college kid that's never shot a gun. He's breaking into a fucking cartel camp and shoot people. It would have been great if they just all got killed. Killed by these cartel members.
Yeah.
And so then there's more bazooka, and then Linda just kind of stands around and bobs and weaves for a while. Not under any cover either, by the way. She just stands out in the open. And then VP goes over and he breaks Christy out of the cage. And I wrote, seriously, those bars were so far apart, she could have just squeezed through them. Or he could have just been like, give me your hand, I'll pull you through. Or he could have just lifted it up. And so then they killed dozens and dozens of people, and then they load into some limo. And then, did you notice, okay, so their Jeep is there.
Yeah.
But we saw all of them walk up to the camp. They didn't drive there.
No.
How'd the fucking Jeep get there?
Deleted scene.
And this guy's like firing from the gun, like the mounted gun.
Yeah.
And then he gets killed. And like Linda, like this is the guy you never even know shit about, right? You never even know his name or anything. He gets blown up, and then for some reason, Linda goes over in the middle of a firefight. It's like crying over his body, and she's like, I can't believe he's dead. And then VP comes over, and he's also sad.
Yeah.
And they just sit there in the middle of a gunfight.
Mourning.
Being like, oh, our friend's dead. And then all of a sudden, Linda makes this switch, and she becomes a badass and just starts shooting people and killing them. And like shoots that guy off his motorcycle, and he like catches on fire, and she like shoots a guy off a horse or something, and she does that shot from the trailer you like where she like gets on her knees and starts spraying all over the place.
Yeah.
And then there's that part where VP is on a horse for no reason.
Yeah, and the horse gallops over a truck, and for some reason the truck explodes.
Because he has a grenade in his hand.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And he drops the grenade into the truck.
Well, I was hoping that the horse made it explode, to be honest.
That would have been great. And then like Esteban pulls up in a Jeep and they get in a fight, and then the military guy gets killed, and then basically Linda and VP are like, well, VP says, all right, meet me at that chopper, which Linda, she doesn't know where this is. She wasn't there the other day, and she's like, okay. And they just run off, and then Indy and the nerd guy and Christy are now like sneaking through the forest or the jungle, wherever the fuck we are.
Yeah.
Through the back lot of Universal. They're waiting for the tram to go by. And then Indy asks the nerd guy, he goes, can you fly a chopper? And he goes, I don't know, I think so. And I go, well, that means no.
This is going to end with a chopper in the side of a mountain, smoking with flames everywhere.
So that we get to the chopper.
Yeah.
Indy, the nerd guy, and Christy make it to the chopper. Indy shakes his hand and he goes, well, you got an expensive date on that chopper, kid. Au revoir, or whatever,
And
via con Dios.
And runs off.
Yeah, he gets in the cockpit and he starts. Okay, so the Indy runs off.
Yeah.
And then the nerd guy and Christy get in the cockpit and he just starts flipping these switches randomly.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh yeah, I saw this on TV once.
Yeah.
And what's he say,
He goes,
Chris?
you know what? It's the first time. Well, I really have a good feeling about this. And all of a sudden, right on cue, gunshots through the side of the cabin, taking him out.
Like
Blood
real
everywhere.
bloody too. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It's just
The one part where I'm like, yes, okay, this is the worth it part. Worth it.
So then these guys, all right, so he gets out, she gets out of the cockpit, and there's these guys, and it's like, oh, fuck. And these guys walk up, and they're going to kill her, but then Vincent Van Patten shows up and shoots them all, sprays them all from behind.
Yeah.
And Esteban's there, too.
Yeah.
And he tries to shoot Esteban, but he ran out of bullets.
Yeah.
And he says something to him. He's like, I wanted to, so you could see yourself die, you fat fuck.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any bullets left. And Esteban tries to shoot him, but then he gets shot from behind. And it's Christy with a gun.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise. And the whole time I'm wondering, where's Linda? Is she just going to get left behind?
Yeah.
I was like, they're just going to take off.
But here it is. Christy says, he's like, all right, get in the chopper, get in the chopper. She goes, but what about Linda? And he goes, I don't think she made it. That's it. I don't think she made it. And I have watched this movie twice. And the first time I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't notice. Or like maybe she got shot or something.
Yeah.
No. The last person to see her is Vincent Van Patten. And he goes, meet me at the chopper.
Yeah.
Where is she? I don't care. Let's go. Fuck her.
No time.
I didn't even want her to come on this trip.
She said she knew Spanish.
What if they took off and Linda just runs up and goes, hey, and he's like, you're too late, Carla. Call an Uber.
She's like, she told us to go without her.
Bring my Jeep back.
Take the Jeep.
So they're basically going to leave without Linda. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Fuck her. Who cares?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they get into the cockpit. And Vincent Van Patten starts flipping switches and shit. And then he looks over and he goes, oh, God, I can't fly. I can't fly a goddamn chopper.
Like, what was going through his mind when he sat down, strapped in, started flipping switches? When did it occur to him? Like,
I love it, though. He's like, all right, wait a second. Fuck. And then all of a sudden the door opens. In Indy, of course, he's still there.
Right on time.
With Pin.
Yeah.
And this is when I wrote, they should have had Pin in that firefight.
Yeah.
I wanted to see fucking Monkey with an assault rifle or a bazooka.
With a bandana.
A grenade.
Yeah.
Or I said he could have slit a guy's throat.
Yeah.
What a fucking useless thing.
It's a waste.
You have a monkey and you don't even have him shoot a gun? How amazing would it have been if instead of Christy holding the gun, that this movie would have been incredible. Is if Esteban gets shot and then he falls down and you just see Pin with a handgun. And Vincent Van Patten's just like, what the fuck? Indy walks in, slow clapping. He goes, nice shot, Pin.
Would he have liked it more with a gun or a knife? And it was Pin with a knife.
I want to see Pin
a tomahawk
slit a man's throat. Like, I really wanted to see that. Like, ear to ear, you know?
All you see is, that's about the you see your mind. Real quick, real quick.
Or during that gunfight, you just see some guy run across the screen and Pin's just stabbing the shit out of him.
Yeah,
he's like,
on his back.
He's like, I got a monkey on my back. I don't know. So, usually Indy opens that door with Pin, and he's like, all right, get in the fucking back, amateurs. Amateurs. He's like, I'm gonna teach you how to fly. And then Pin gets in and he goes, come on, Pin, sit on my shoulder.
I wish Pin was the one flying the chopper.
Pin's like flipping switches. And then Linda comes running in and she goes, wait, you forgot me. And Vincent Van Patten reluctantly gets out of the chopper and he's like, oh, Carla, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
We're late.
We're late.
Then they just fly off credits.
Yeah.
And you're right. You said it should have ended with that chopper just hitting a mountain. Like, nobody knew how to fly this thing.
Like, surely fucking Indian. Just a side, bam.
And then it's just a shot of a charred monkey body. Like, that's it.
No, okay, it slams in, but you see this little parachute pop out. And it's pin on the parachute.
Or you cut into the cockpit and he's like, no pin, no! And then...
Yeah.
It's like, maybe it's a... Well, I don't want to ruin a movie. If you haven't seen the movie The Mist, don't listen to this next few minutes. What if the movie ended like they had no gas and they're all going to kill each other, you know? And Pin one by one kills every person.
What, use a gun or a knife?
I'd imagine it's just like Tom Jane. Pin goes one by one and shoots everybody, and then he doesn't have enough bullets for himself.
He starts hitting himself with the butt of the gun, trying to knock himself out. He starts strangling himself. Nothing works.
Lord. So, Chris, your recommendation?
Yeah.
I
For the performance alone, oh my god.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it.
It's
a horrible movie.
It fumes direct-to-video.
Yeah, but the best of direct-to-video. Like, I know a lot of bad reviews for this one.
Yeah.
But I think it's hilariously bad. Like, it is so bad. And it's just insane.
Did we ever find out the budget and the box office?
No,
Well, there's
I
no
have
box
nothing.
office, obviously.
I know nothing about it.
Oh, man.
I assume it was made for like maybe $2 million bucks or something.
Yeah, maybe a couple of truck stops, a couple of TSAs that popped up maybe in the bin.
I mean, how they convinced Linda Blair to be in this movie, I don't know.
Well, this was near the end of the 80s, and maybe that train was kind of slowing down to a mere chug. We don't know.
I mean, sure, Linda, we'll put your song in the movie. I don't know. But I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
It's a fun watch. You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to need to buy yourself a VCR because that's it.
Yeah, it's all Europe. This has no chance of being picked up for redistribution.
No. It will never see the light of day on DVD or streaming or anything.
I mean, it might find some theatrical Midnight Madness release, maybe.
Well, if I owned a theater, we'd screen Nightforce.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah. It'd be a double feature, Nightforce and Savage Streets.
I mean, it definitely drags in parts, but it is just so bizarre.
Okay. Here's a funny fact. We watched this movie on YouTube, but we played it at 1.25 speed to make it so it didn't drag as long. Because
it
dragged.
a little bit quicker.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it played like a normal movie when we did that.
Oh, it is fun though. It's a good one.
Yeah.
You hear that sound, Chris?
Fuck me. Yeah, I hear it.
Chris, let the people know.
If
they haven't heard this before.
If this is the first time you're joining us, we'd like to think back to our first film we ever covered, 1977's The Van, in which a boy named Bobby gets a garish yellow van while working at a car wash and uses jugs of wine, castor oil, and other means to get women inside of it so he can have his jollies, along with his employer, Danny DeVito, who we would just refer to him as DeVito. And what exploits, shenanigans do they get in with this van, and how do they show up in other movies that we cover?
Chris?
And this is that film. Oh, well, God. So many things. I think they were at this camp with this bamboo cage. I think there's a reason Chrissy was naked. I think there's a reason there were no clothes. I think Bobby had the key to this cage, if there was a key, and was promising her the key and a way out through the van if he could, have his way in that cage. And he knew that thing was... to be honest, there was no key. He just knew how to open it up from the outside. And he was using it as a bargaining chip. And when he had his jollies, that is right before the guy trying to get into America started bringing her clothes. And that's the guy... Yeah, it's really... This is tough for me.
All right, Chris. When they went to that swamp house...
Yeah?
We didn't see what was stowed behind that house.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Which our boy, Indy...
Yeah.
Right behind that house There was an old broken down yellow van, Chris.
Oh no.
And this man is playing a long con.
Yeah.
This is 1987. Bobby is no longer rolling around in that van. He's seen the world and he don't like it. He drove himself down to Central America because he heard the times were easy and the women were even easier.
They played it fast and loose and even looser.
He drove into that shithole of a area, country, what have you. Found this swamp, parked his van and said, I'm going to live the rest of my days out here playing the flute and hanging out with this new monkey friend. He brought DeVito, but unfortunately DeVito was killed by Esteban. That's the head that was used as a soccer game. But Bobby's been waiting for a lady to come down so he could lure into his hellish world. And all of a sudden, Linda comes to town and he goes, uh-oh. You know, he was sitting in that bar, Chris, waiting for one lady to come into town. And then she came in. He saw that hair from the door, and he knew. So I think that Bobby was Indy, and he was just living the rest of his days down in Central America, running from whatever he's running from. Yeah, and he became a hardened military man down there. So.
He did. Good for him.
Either that or what you didn't see was when she got kidnapped at the beginning. This one van pulled up.
Oh, yeah.
But behind it was the other van, and DeVito's like, we're too late, Bobby. They fucking took him. God damn it.
I told you not to take the 5.
Oh, fuck. We were going to kidnap that Senator Braun. We were going to have our way with her, Bobby, and we were going to ask for money. It was, oh, God damn it. Oh, well, back to the pizza joint.
We're going to have 2 car washes.
Well, it's been a nice Blairvember.
Yeah, this has been a Blairvember to remember.
And you'll have to join us again next year for the second annual Blairvember because there are plenty of Linda Blair movies we didn't cover. I mean, there's Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic.
Was she in Savage Island?
Savage Island, which she only appears in for 5 minutes. And is Savage Island is actually a mix of multiple different movies cut into an American version of a movie.
Oh, wow.
It's very, very weird. The Chilling, which is where she plays a doctor at some cryogenics lab, and all the cryogenic people wake up as zombies, which I was very, very close in putting in.
Yeah, Grotesque.
Grotesque, where Linda plays a damsel in distress as a group of punk rockers takes her friend's family hostage. Of course, up your alley with her and Murray Langston, where she goes undercover as a homeless woman, Repossessed, where I don't know, it's some sort of spoof movie with her and Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many more
Yeah.
Linda Blair movies, and we will cover them. And we'd like to thank Linda for appearing on this show today.
Yes, it was an honor, even though it ended quite abruptly and not quite how we wanted it to end, but maybe we extend an olive branch and maybe a fruit basket, and she'll come back on
Yeah,
again.
we hope you'll be back, Linda.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And if you enjoyed this show, please rate and review us on iTunes.
And don't forget to hit that big rectangular purple subscribe button in iTunes. Click it, and is our offer for reviews still standing?
Yes, it does. If you rate us 5 stars and give us a review on iTunes or any platform, you can send us a movie and we'll blind watch it and cover it.
It goes to the top of the bin.
Top of the bin. And
Yeah.
December is filled with listener requests, so it's going to be fun.
Yep.
Also, if you want to find us, grindhousefilm.com. Great conversations going on there. We're on Twitter at GrindPod. We're on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Bobby, let's leave the shithole.
Streets were paved with gold. gotten tough. The game has gotten rough. Everything's broken. Everything hurts. No one remembers how anything works. I still remember the times have gotten tough. The game has gotten rough. The times have gotten tough.